Hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network episode 21. This is our weekly live stream where we talk about music technology, music production. We're happy to have you here. With me today is our friend and colleague Eon Lake. How are you?
Hello. Should we be drinking beer now that we're 21?
That's right. Yeah, I've got tea because it's still the morning, but at least it's in a Star Wars mug. So I guess maybe that's something. I don't know. But you can be proud of me, Eon. Like, I didn't have a second cup of coffee, so any energy you see is merely my own production
that's
of it.
Actual energy.
Yeah, it's real energy. It's not caffeine. I mean, I guess I'm having tea, but whatever. Yeah. How are you?
I survived the end of days in the UK. I don't know if you heard.
Yeah.
But, it got warm, and everyone went, "Oh no!" To be fair, it was a bit silly warm. I couldn't really sit up here and do any music, but most of us are still here, and not everything burned down.
I think the whole world is dealing with heat, and I should apologize if you guys hear like a really loud hum. That's my air conditioner. This like giant tube
this is the
structure.
But noise edition.
Yeah, I would. This is the ambient white noise edition. Yeah, so if you guys need to relax, get some ASMR, we've got it covered. That's what the hum's for. The white noise drone. Also with us today is my Audionautic co-pilot, Curtis. How are you, my DJ Deccan friend?
Very nice. I like that.
I just thought of that off the cuff because I was like, I need to incorporate that there's a giant glowing DJ deck under him. So I had to think of a way to work that in.
I mean, I haven't been particularly subtle. It's not particularly subtle what I've been up to this week. But I'm doing well, my friend. It's almost as if it's only been 24 hours since I spoke to you, but how are you? You all right?
I'm all right. I'm surviving. It's been a rough week, but you got to get through it.
You have to, exactly. What have you been doing?
Let's see. I have been composing for a webcomic. I might have talked about this last week, but I've finalized it. Yeah. Oh my god, my computer is not having this project. The CPU, I don't know if you saw my story yesterday, the CPU was at max, and then there's just these clicking noises just happening because there's, I think, 3 or 4 instances of Diva. There's a repro. There's a ton of Logic stock things. There's guitar stuff that has to have Valhalla and Guitar Rig and all that stuff. And it changes. I didn't say the plugin. I just said the company. So we're safe. But it's an 8-minute song that goes through 3 different iterations because the scenes traverse different genre and stuff like that. And so I had to work from 4.466 BPM to 3.479 BPM. So I had to find a way to merge those two together. And then the final thing is just this crazy cacophony of dissonant noise. So I had to figure out a way to go from a piano key, transition that to a dark minor key, and then just make this really weird drone with all these drums. So it was a really cool exercise in working outside of any normal way I compose. So I really like that. And then released Glass Tourist, which had an awesome remix from you. That was a fun one, and it got a lot of great reception. I appreciate everyone who checked it out. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description for Audionautics Bandcamp. But what about you? Let me hear about those DJ decks, man. They're just glistening on this screen. I got to hear about it.
What flavors have you been mixing up?
Yeah.
Well, it's all about that bass. It's all basically. Yeah, this is what I've been doing. I have a gig. My first DJ gig on Saturday, and they asked for a down tempo gig, and so I bought these decks specifically because because you are. So I've basically been piecing together a 2-hour down tempo set, which has been, I'm about 86 minutes in, so I've got about 20 minutes extra to kind of create and kind of move around.
Nice.
I obviously we've done a bit of mixing when we do the Audionautic radio. Sunwarper, you do it when you do the Spotify playlist. But learning how to do it on the fly as you go with the beat matching and the software and the colors and the numbers and everything. It's fun. It's a good little way of doing it.
Yeah.
I've basically just taken all the music that I've bought on Bandcamp over the years and all the stuff that people have so very kindly sent to us to the Audionautic Gmail. And I've basically just been creating everything. So there's a bit of everyone, I think. What have I forgotten there? I've got Hydra Fighters on there. I've got Maureen's Friend on there.
Nice.
We've got Chair Crusher. We've got Joshua James Whitman, Shady. We've got Eon Lake. Obviously, yeah, we've got Shady's on there. There's actually
Shady, yeah, he's been knighted.
Yeah, completely. There's a lovely transition between Colby and Conundrum, then The Summer Fall by Joshua James Whitman by Shady, and then goes straight into Blue Sky Emissary.
I thought you were going to say Blue Oyster Cult. I was like, now that's a cool transition.
That's different. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone. So it's a bit of everyone from the community. So it's quite nice, really.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really underground, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's going to be a bit different, a bit interesting. So
yeah, you're going to hit the raise the roof effect, right?
Well, yes. So I've worked out. Let me just get this right. So I've worked out that we have normal, and then we have raise the roof.
Yeah,
and then we have
it's
normal.
just boosting the sub to like 14 million. Yeah, you just
Exactly.
need everything to shake. Oh, Sir Shady's in the chat. He says, "Hey, ha."
Hey.
Yeah.
Got his ears burning, did he?
Yeah, there he is.
Shady, what you been up to, man? And everybody in the chat, everyone watching, what's going on? Let us know how you guys are doing. And if you'd be so kind, retweet or share. It helps a ton to get us out there as we're live right now. Eon, like, what about you? What have you been up to?
Wow. I did say it got a bit hot, didn't I?
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I mean...
Did you buy something because of it?
Yeah. Very little blinky going on. Everything is switched off, and I've not been in here because it's just too hot. So it's been more of the portable stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to find some shade outside, and I've just been messing with the OPZ and looking at a few tutorials. And man, there's some fun stuff you can do with that, with multiple layers of sequencing on top of each other. You know, you get the actual instrument sequence itself, then you can mess around with the effects that it's going through and sequence that. And then you can run it through the tape deck and chop it and play it back in different segments and sequence that. And you can enable and disable any one of these tracks of sequencing. So you can get so many different iterations of like certain types of melody or one melodic pattern that it's it's a bit like Curtis with his decks there. The hours start whistling by. So it's not a total washout. You know, I have been doing a bit more writing. I am sampling some of that as well so that I can do more with it. But yeah, avoiding the studio is the main thing, and digging back into the portable stuff again for obvious reasons. It's just can't sit in here.
No,
if you had
no MPC.
Thought, it would turn into steam.
Oh God, I can only imagine. Well, we appreciate you being up here for this. I'm sure there's
slowly melting.
I'm sure there's lots of fans on. If you need to take a break and go to a cooler room, we'll understand. You know, it's all right. Have you been messing with the MPC or the SP at all?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay. Just
MPC
the OP.
on the list, though. I've been looking at it a lot recently, thinking you and I should, you know,
have a hangout. Yeah, kick back for a bit. Yeah.
Well, I was because I'm looking at the stuff that I've got. So I've got a tiny little 6-input. Is it 6-input? Yeah, 6-input mixer, analog mixer, and I've got the black box connected into that, and I had the OPZ connected into it as well. And I'm thinking, this is the main part of it. I could do a lot with this, really. I'm thinking about live sets in the back of my head and minimal setups and so on. And then I had a look at the MPC and the number of ins and outs on it, and the number of MIDI ports and whatnot on it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scope here as well.
Yeah.
So I'm still not sure, you know, what would be the main brain. Would I have several different things sequencing, and I would just time lock them and keep them off and change the sequences myself, or would I have one thing that's going to control all the other things and do program changes and whatnot? I'm not sure yet, but I think it's beginning to come into focus. Thinking about that sort of thing more and saying if I hit a limitation on a basic setup, then I'll make it slightly more complicated to try and get over that limitation. But I'm going to try and keep it simple and have as little as possible and see how much I can do with that. And I think with SP, black box, and a synth voice and some effects, I think quite a lot could be done.
I mean, even sending everything into the SP for processing alone,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
As like the last thing before going out to a mixer or something, you know.
Because that the SP would have it, maybe it would go into a send effect, but the synth voice would go into the SP, so it could have the SP effects and then anything that it gets sent to as well.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, and I'm wondering if the Micro Freak's the boy for that.
Oh. Yeah.
But then I look at the lyra and start thinking, can I take that with me? Can I play with it? That's just a bit.
Why don't you just buy something new?
Yeah.
It's simple, simple. Few boxes.
You know, you could put it to one box and just get a DJ deck.
I thought about that actually. I thought about doing DJ sets on the SP404 and seeing
those are fun.
Just run my songs together, and it's something I'm going to mess around with just for kicks and giggles. And if it actually looks like it could be useful, then great. If it doesn't, there's no loss. But yeah, I've thought about it. You read my mind.
Oh, I figured they're fun on the SP.
Essentially, how you spend so much time in one virtual chat room with people, you tend to get some form of synchronicity between the brains.
That's true, yeah.
All three of us just heading towards a DJ career.
Yeah, synchronicity.
Hanging up the synthesizers.
We've never been in the same physical room, but just from being around each other so much in this meta domain or whatever have you, we've like read each other's minds now.
Well, DJing's a lot more popular now that you don't have to carry around crates and crates of records with you.
Yeah.
Well, this is it.
And that's it.
Well, that's just it. I've pulled up a massive file of about 100 tracks, analysed them all, put them all by BPM, and it's like, you could do anything with anything if you just kind of mash things around a lot.
So wait, does it analyze it in the deck that you've got, or is there software on the computer you connected to that it analyzes? I've literally never had any, like, the only DJ stuff I've done is with the SP. So
do you want to see? Do you want to see quickly?
Sure, yeah.
You have it here, yeah. You have it. It's all.
If the chat would be so kind as to oblige our curiosity.
Yeah. So this is the software that you got. I got it free when I got this Hercules 300 or Impulse Control 300, which is basically a MIDI controller.
Yeah.
And so basically, I have a big list of all the stuff that we've got in here, and then it analyzes it by BPM, and then you got the key, and then you got the energy, which I'm not really paying much attention to be honest, because you can just mash anything. But so you've got everything. I'm going by BPM. So the idea, I'm starting the day, so I'm starting at the very end with the very beginning at 79 BPM, and then by the end of it, you'll end up around about 120, 130, which is technically
I like that. Kind of just shifting up
tempo.
How are you doing the transitions between these beat ranges?
So I'm going up incrementally, and there is a little bit of shifting. So for example, when you come to, for example, if I'm looking at Colby and Conundrum, which if I'm doing Colby and Conundrum, it's at 81 BPM, but I'm actually going to be playing at about 86 BPM, so that I can go into Blue Sky Emissary at 86.
Gotcha. Oh, is that what Blue Sky Emissary is at?
Yeah.
I never know my BPM.
Track and his BPM, and then match the rest of the set.
There you go. That's all you need.
Yeah, essentially. But then from that will go into Sunwarper will go into Machine Elves with me and Spectre, which will then go, and which again slowly gets pushed up to, you've got Hopkirk and then Bloom, and then eventually Mothership. So it just keeps. Yeah,
so it's just ratchet, slowly going up in intensity or in BPM. Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, essentially. So yeah, that's basically what it is. It does it all for you. So it's like, I mean, those who DJ with vinyl would probably scoff, perhaps. I mean, but I mean.
But you could always start here, understand the ropes of it by seeing all of this stuff laid out for you, and then if you ever wanted to go to vinyl or something, you'd have probably the ear developed for doing that.
Probably. The bank account would be amazing.
Yeah.
Say again, Ian.
You know what I'd say? It's about music. It's not about anything else.
Also, very, very true.
Yeah.
If it has a desired effect.
Well, exactly. Like I say, it has the energy levels, and it has the keys, so it goes around the circle of fifths. But I'm not really paying much attention to it, to be honest. I'm just kind of going, okay.
Yeah, go with
I'm matching BPMs.
Yeah.
So and then you just
feel vibe.
Sort of like, come on. Music.
Yeah. Just make it sound good. You know.
True audionautic statement, making it sound good, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah. Incidentally, this show is brought to you guys by our patrons, who we love very much. Thank you very much indeed. If you fancied being a patron and giving your support, pledges start at as little as $2, in which you get a completely exclusive podcast star stream with all three of us once a month. And for a little bit more, you can get some early access to all the content that we make, as well as bloopers, behind the scenes, extras, etc., etc.
And you get to come on this show.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, you get to join about halfway through the show. We let our patrons in, and they get to join in on our round-robin conversations and anything else we're talking about at that point, because sometimes we ramble, sometimes we stay on track. But, if you want to check it out, head to patreon.com/audionautic.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much indeed. So, it's it's 31 minutes past the hour. Should we take a look at some news for this week?
Yes. Let's do it.
So.
And this is mostly Eon Lake's show here, because Curtis and I have been very busy at the moment. So Eon Lake was kind enough to provide a good bit of news.
Well, we're going to start with the headlining for this week.
Yeah.
We'll start with the news that YouTube has struck a deal with the merchandise or the selling online shop, Shopify, which is really, really interesting. Basically, once this gets fully rolled out, at the moment this is only in the United States, but I assume it will be expanded beyond the realms of the new world eventually at some point. But yes, the the idea is basically where if you've got a live stream, if you've got a video, you can integrate and link your merchandise and sell it through Shopify. According to this article from Digital Music News, you'll be able to pay and complete a transaction without even leaving the live stream, which is really important, I think, especially when it comes to things like viewership and stuff. Because obviously, part of the live streaming thing is retaining your customer or retaining your audience and retaining your customer base as a result, which is really cool. So they've inked this deal. There's no real idea of the timeline, but they should add to countries later in 2022, which is really nice to see. That essentially means, the word on the street is that we are starting to do a little bit of merch towards the end of next month.
Yeah, so the only issue is Shopify. I think that's the one that you can connect to Spotify, and from everything I've seen, it's very hard for independent artists to get connected with it. Because I had looked into it, it may even cost a bit or something, but I remember looking into it because that's how you can get like vinyl listed on your Spotify account. And it was like I had read a lot of things saying like, oh yeah, I submitted to join it and I never even heard back or this and that. So that's kind of a bummer, but it's still good news about that integration. And also there's a website called Spreadshop where you can make it's kind of like Printful and Teespring, where you can make products and have like a marketplace, but you don't have to order any up front. It's like by demand. But they said that the merch shelf, which you may be familiar with on bigger YouTube channels, sometimes under the video you'll see like a line of merch, like shirts, mugs, stuff like that. That is now being opened up to people with 1,000 followers or more. It used to be 10,000. So there's that too. Okay. I mean, 1,000 is hard to get to for a lot of us, but at least it's gone down in the number from 10,000, which is a lot bigger.
Yeah, there it's right. So I mean, it's always nice to see. We're seeing more of these integrations, this idea of using your merch. I mean, musicians. There's that famous joke from Lamb of God where they say they're basically just glorified T-shirt sales. Which I love that personally. Like, yeah, the music's great and we're artists and we make our stuff, but really, I mean, most money you make is from your merchandise. So it's really nice to see those things kind of come through to fruition. And merch heavy labels, for example, like Wear a Foxma, they would be. This is perfect for that kind of thing. So it works nicely. Moving along, we have the latest. What's coming out of the live stream? Price tickets. Ticket jumps in prices. Tickets are jumping in price. Wow, my English is not good.
Don't worry, we'll get it. It's conveyed. It's good. We're good.
It's conveyed. But we had a general. It's just this idea, and this came close to my heart because I can't afford to go see people live at the moment. We've had a 17% increase since pre-pandemic levels in 2022. Basically, these prices keep going up and up and up and up, especially when it comes. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but with stadium gigs as well. Stadium gigs have just gone through the roof, and it just means that it's pushing more and more people out of the ability to go and see their favorite bands live. have you seen anything? Has this been affecting you at all?
I haven't even been looking at live shows at the moment. Just I've been so busy, I can't really go. I've been meaning to start looking. There was one show I wanted to go to in December, but the tickets sold out before I could. But it doesn't surprise me with inflation and just places trying to recoup from 2 years of like not having things open. I understand prices going up, but it is quite a bummer.
It is, yeah. Howard, I think you touched on it a little bit over a couple of weeks ago about the prices of this kind of thing in your area. When I a couple of years ago when I went to see the Chili Peppers, the tickets were about €80,
Wow.
and they come back for their Unlimited Love tour, and they're now €200, which is just a ridiculous hike.
Wow.
So yeah, it looks like live streaming further is the way to go forward, gentlemen.
I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the recouping, but I don't know. Everything's going up here. In a way, I look at that and think that's a good thing because it's not going up as much as food has here. But
I guess that's a silver lining. I don't know.
not great. I mean, things aren't great in the UK at the moment anyway. So, there's less money to be spent on entertainment, shall we say. And, yeah, I understand their position, but I guess this will be the reason why some festivals aren't happening and so on, because they're having trouble selling tickets because there are so many and the cost is so much that people just can't go to the same amount of festivals that they used to. People can't afford it as much. They're being a lot more selective, and some are falling by the wayside. I guess it's all part of the same thing. Not surprising, really. I guess it's the industry trying to right itself and so on. Yeah, I mean, there'll be winners and losers in all of this, won't there?
Yeah, that's true. And Shady Ridge asks, what was your last concert you've been to, guys? I think mine was Massive Attack in September 2019. Eon Lake, do you remember your last concert?
Not off the top of my head. The last one I remember was John Hopkins, and that was a good couple of years ago now. That was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Possibly one of the best gigs I've ever seen.
I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah. What about you, Curtis? Do you recall your last?
That's a good question. Are we talking like big? Are we talking like big names, like big?
I mean, Shady can specify, but in my opinion, anything.
I mean, I went to see a couple of local bands in the pub around the corner the other month. But I mean, that's different, I suppose. But like to an actual gig with tickets, actually, yes, I went to FlowX. Earlier this year. A couple of months ago, actually. That was really good. But again, that was post-pandemic. But he put on a hell of a show.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me think. I think the last concert I went to was the one I played in right before the pandemic, and I think it was January 2020. And then before that, I'm pretty sure I saw one of my favorite bands, Thrice, in 2019. And I think that's the last one. And that's actually who I was trying to see in December. But they sold out like because it's their hometown right here. And I think they're from Anaheim or Irvine or something. It's right in Orange County. And they were playing the House of Blues in Anaheim. And they're doing an old album like in full 20 years later or something. And I think they sold out of 4 concerts, like 4 shows at the same place. Each one sold out within like 20 minutes or an hour. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to that then. But
I guess you never
yeah, but that I think it was them or Tycho. I think that was my last show. And Hydro Fighter's in the chat. He says, "Hey guys, what's up, Steve? How you doing?"
Hi, Hydro Fighter. Hope you're doing well, man. Maybe see you in a little bit. Nice to see. Yes. Okay. Okay. Eon Lake, do you want to talk about your NFTs, or do you want to talk
his
about
NFTs? Yeah, I want in on that.
I want to see what's going on.
The NFTs I thought ties in nicely with a lot of the information that Sunwarper's been providing. We've been keeping an eye on NFTs and so on. There was one thing about this story that kind of piqued my curiosity a little bit. So
tell us all about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna make your minds explode now by telling you I don't know who Chris Brown is particularly, other than name, but apparently his NFT collection, which includes like meet and greets and stuff like that, is not selling, which I don't think anyone's particularly surprised about. It sounds more like the article's trying to make a deal out of it, but it makes a comment about halfway through the article about how some people are doing what they call free mints, where they're giving stuff away, essentially. in the hope of making money on resale value of that. Because obviously one of the benefits of NFTs, as we've discussed in the past, is that, you know, there's always a direct link back to the originator of the content and the owner, and therefore resales and something you can get a cut of and so on. So it seems now that it is common for NFT collections to launch at a really low price or to be a free mint, just to sort of speculate on the potential subsequent income from resales and so on, which I thought was an interesting point, interesting paradigm when we're thinking about how they can be useful to us in the future, and what does this really mean for music and artists in general.
So, guys, you remain somewhat skeptical about the whole situation. Having read this, how does it make you? Does it sway you any other way? Does it push you further towards skepticism?
What do you think, Sunwarper?
Oh, we're putting it on me. Let's see.
Yeah.
I thought you were asking Jan, like, because he was the last one talking. I think NFTs, by their nature at the moment, are inherently speculative because everyone's anticipating it. I mean, yeah, there were those breakout massive, you know, someone got $3 million or whatever for a music NFT when it like started, and that's great. But I think a lot of it is still in its infancy, so people are thinking long term about it, and I could kind of understand the idea, like, well, crypto's not doing so hot at the moment. You know, they're having that, like, I think they call it a winter or whatever. You know, they like it just tanked. All cryptocurrencies are not having a fun time at the moment. So I could understand maybe they're thinking, well, one way we could make a profit later, but also hope to like get that profit and revitalize the market is offer these things for free. And I don't know if they're putting a higher resale percentage cutback like to the artist or something, but that could be something. But as we always talk about, NFTs are like the wild, I mean, crypto in general, but NFTs are like the Wild West at the moment. And so these things just keep changing constantly. And it's interesting to see this evolution, because I think we just talked about like Mariah Carey doing NFTs a couple weeks ago. And I'd be curious if those are selling compared to, I think you said it was Chris Brown, right? Like, what's the difference in that? Is there just a massive drop off in NFTs? I would be curious. NFTs, I don't think in terms of music anyone has done the like revolutionary NFT that's gonna make it like, yep, musicians need to do NFTs. Like, you know, everyone says musicians need to be on TikTok or you need to be on Instagram. Like, I don't think it's there yet, and I'll be curious to see what if there's anything in that way. What about you, Curtis? What do you think?
You hit the nail on the head. Sorry, I'm going to ask Curtis in a minute anyway, but you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned like the crypto crash, if you want to call it that, because they did mention in the article about, you know, you'd launch at a certain value of Ethereum or something, but, you know, then it nosedives after that. It's difficult to get people to buy when, you know,
and not only that, but faith is low in it. So people may have pulled out of crypto and they're like, well, I'm not going to invest again because I don't know where the bottom is. You know, it's still going down and down and down.
So we're still waiting for this to sort of, I think it's difficult when it's a belief, when there needs to be a certain amount of belief and interest into things. It's a very sort of slow burn with a new technology, especially as a bit of a paradigm shift like this one. What would you reckon, Curtis?
In a similar way, like, I mean, if you think of our regular currency, so to speak, our fiat system currency is based on the belief that the whole thing is worth something, and NFTs and crypto in particular are the idea.
I apologize, I just saw Hydrofire's comment.
Yeah, he said Chris Brown beat up Rihanna. I'm not surprised he's not getting NFTs. Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to when I mentioned I'd wonder, is Mariah Carey's NFT selling compared to Chris Brown's? Or any NFTs at the moment, because like we've been saying, there's this massive crypto winter. It's gone down quite drastically, and I don't think it's hit the bottom yet. And I mean, NFTs by their crypto by their nature are just always volatile. So it's a very interesting situation. But I'm sorry, Curtis, go ahead.
Sorry, Curtis, that was a real late moment there.
You are welcome to cut through, especially when someone in the chat is saying something. The idea, I think the full potential hasn't been realized in the sense of when we come back in. I always bring up the idea of the metaverse. I think when metaverses become more mainstream, when more people are entering the metaverse and buying land and property within the metaverse, this is when they're really going to become more important and more kind of realized for the value that they are. they are essentially contracts, and that is how you are creating a contract. And I think, again, in the name of the belief system, that belief kind of has to solidify, which is a very slow process as it comes out. But they'll still come through, because as the various metaverses increase in size and expanse, etc., this is the way that business is done inside them. And so I think that, as well as that, coming towards the idea again, so Spotify, for example, versus Bandcamp, people know that if they want to support us as artists, they go directly to our Bandcamp and they don't necessarily stream our stuff on Spotify. NFTs I see as in a similar mind frame. If you want to benefit us directly, buy my track as an NFT. Don't buy it as an MP3 on Bandcamp, for example. When that's facilitated and that belief process comes through, that's when I think that'll start hitting. But as you said, it's the Wild West right now. So I think it's still a bit kind of, we're still waiting for it to kind of pick up, because it's all about digital art. We haven't quite got to the music side of things.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like I haven't seen that revolutionary musical idea in an NFT format that's like, oh yeah, this, you need to make NFTs or something. Yeah, there's ideas coming out, and I'm not super appraised on every NFT that comes out. Maybe something has popped up, but nothing that has hit mainstream in the terms of like a musical NFT. And the NFTs we've seen from like these bigger artists are like, have dinner with them after their show or something, and this and that. And it's like, that's tangentially related to the artist, in the sense that it's related to the artist but not the art. We haven't seen something in relation to the art. And over in the chat, David agrees with you, Curtis. He says, agree, the metaverse is the game changer, likely. Yeah, we'd be curious to hear, everyone in the chat, what do you guys think about NFTs, and in terms specifically for music? We always talk very apprehensively about NFTs, but we like to keep it praised. But I'd be curious, have you seen anything on your end, like, I'll get to you one sec, on your end that that caught your eye in terms of NFTs for artists or crypto in general, anything like that? Yes, like, go ahead. Thank you for patiently raising the hand.
No problem. No, it just occurred to me, especially with this tool who's not selling his NFTs. You're bringing in a new product, right? So, when you do music, people can like your music, and then, it's known whether or not they have any interest in that and what the value of that interest could be. If you start bringing your personality into it, like, part of it is a meet and greet or have dinner with or something like that, then your personality and who you are and what you're known for starts to come into it as well. And it might be very different from your music.
Yeah.
And if you end up being some misogynist, wife-beating piece of turd, then obviously you're developing your own product there, and probably not going to sell as many meet and greets as somebody who seems, at least on the surface, like they're a nice person.
Yeah, completely.
It's a kind of a divergence as well, or it could be, depending on what you like.
Yeah, completely. And I think again, it's completely in your own ballpark. The ball is completely in your court to mix and match from two different idioms. The idea is like, you can make these NFTs whatever you want them to be. And I think as we're throwing these things out there, meet and greets or extra merch or special merch or whatever, that is the beginning. And I think as things kind of come through, the ideas will kind of expand through. And that's down again to personality. How unique, how intrinsic, how original can you make your NFT? What is it that you can bring to the table for people to get excited by? And I think it's going to be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's the NFT news. That's the NFT news for this week. Hopefully more next week. We love talking about NFTs because
it's just interesting to stay. Yeah, exactly. It's so speculative at the moment. It's interesting to stay appraised on it and see like what changes are happening and if anything really cool is coming from it. Because I mean, I don't want to speak for all three of us at the same time, but it seems like none of us have really seen anything that's been like, this is like, it seems like it could be the way to go in the future. And like you said, Curtis, putting art, like, do you want to support my music or support me as an artist? Grab the NFT because there's the resale thing, but it just isn't quite there yet.
Yeah,
right. That's what it seems like. We've all we want to stay appraised on it, but it's not quite there.
I think a real key significance will be when the Chinese or the Asian NFT market opens, because at the moment in majority of Asia, it's illegal to have NFTs, or there's no kind of mandated way to buy NFTs. But once that is open up, especially in China, for example, I mean, there's over 1 billion people in China.
Yeah.
That will be a real change. I think we'll see a massive flow of the market there. There's a lot of opportunity involved.
Yeah.
Completely. Okay. From NFT to DSP. How's that?
There you go. And if you enjoyed that segue, leave a like, because that helps a ton on the YouTube channel.
Beautiful. I love that. It's almost like we know what we're doing. So, Eon Lick, this is also for me. One-off non-DSP payments fueling major labels' revenue surge. Tell us all about what's going on here, please.
So, in my unending research that I do for this podcast, as you guys know, I was looking through positive news articles. I saw one I thought sounded quite positive about how the music industry is enjoying a resurgence and a recovery. And there was a nice bar chart that was going upwards and everything, and went on until 2030 or something. It wasn't clear what it was marking or anything, but it was about the big three record labels reporting higher profits than they had previously, and a growth in profits, a significant growth in profits as well. I thought, oh, that is good news, isn't it? Then I saw it was just the big three labels, and I thought, oh, okay, right. They've never failed to make money, even when the music industry was tanking. And then, yes, that bit there where it started talking about non-DSP streaming income, which is not something I'd previously been aware of. But basically, your DSP is your standard digital distribution platform. Digital streaming platform is what it stands for. So I'm thinking, well, what is non-DSP streaming income? And it turns out it's like monetized YouTube and things like that. So they've been seeing an increasing amount of profit coming from these sources, and it started to make me think, okay, well, A, that doesn't sound great for artists anyway, but B, are we seeing something similar? What is this because of? Are people actually listening to music more on the YouTube platform, or is it just the fact that monetization is becoming more of a thing on any platform?
Probably a harder copyright, what do they call it? The copyright, strikes and things like that, and the AI getting better at detecting the usage of these songs and things like that.
Well, they all seem very happy about it. The one bit of the
they're making money. Of course, they're happy about it.
Yeah, it's all good for them. But the last paragraph mentions about how they've not really looked at the UK yet, and mentioned the awesome Tom Gray's Broke a Record campaign to make sure to try and get fair streaming payouts for artists and things like that. The fact that provoked the government to look at streaming industry in general, which is something that is due to begin over here pretty soon. Basically, nobody's actually saying anything about the deals that enable these major record companies to make such money from these non-DSP streams. But something tells me that it's not necessarily something that would be in our favor, and there's a reason.
I was also going to ask, it says the record labels are making money, but what about the artists? Like, even the artists on said record label. Like, if the split is wholly in favor of the record labels are happy, they're getting the payouts, but are the artists? But of course, that comes down to what contract they sign. So,
Yeah. So it's a bit of a nosedive, really. I started off going, "Oh, the industry's recovering. That's great.
Happy news, yay!
Oh, it's them. Oh,
oh boy."
So I just wanted you to know I tried to find something positive for you guys, so that we could say, "Look, here's some good news."
Well, I suppose the silver lining could still be that there is a resurgence happening, even if it's for the majors, but that should at least maybe mean that people are listening to more music in general, right? I don't know.
There's still an interest. There's some intrinsic value.
Yeah.
It's an argument about who gets that value.
Yeah.
But, there is definitely an upside to that. Yeah.
I think it's still, I mean, obviously at our level, the idea of being independent or through indie labels kind of makes it more sense anyway. You see the growth of bands as they get signed and coming through, and that is a thing, and it is true. I just wonder how sustainable it is in that.
Well, it's the label's marketing that then the artist has to pay forward, right, or pay up later. So
exactly, and so how much at the end of it, like I don't know if you guys have heard of Electric Callboy, metal band from Germany. I follow them quite a bit. They're sick. But anyway, they've gone from nothing to something, and they're now not like stadium size, but they're pretty big in Europe, and their marketing is sublime, and it is great, and it is fun to see and watch, and people buy into that brand. But I mean, not making much money from everything.
But that's unusual, isn't it? Because marketing's usually, at best, it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's good, I'll look into that. It's not usually enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it's enjoyable, you're doing a pretty good job.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll see how that goes out. So I think that's all we got time for. We're at 56 minutes past the hour.
We should bring up our bit of gold, though.
Oh yes, sorry. How could I forget? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
The one thing I came prepared for this episode was covering Eon's butt for this bit of gold news.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he brought up most of the other news, so it's all good.
Exactly. So I'll gold. Sunwarper, hit us with this. What have we got here?
This just popped up on the algorithm, like on our Audionaut Spotify when I was updating the playlist. It just popped up that was like, want gold beats or something. And it's just, I saw the gold beat. What's it called? The gold.
The gold instrumental beats.
Yeah. But the picture, and I saw the picture, and I was like, if that's not something Eon Lake needs, then I don't know what is. I mean, I didn't even look at what songs were on it. I just saw the gold in the picture and the name, and was like, this is Eon Lake to a T.
Yeah. How is a beat a gold beat, really?
I don't know. Maybe it went gold.
I've just put on Lo-Fi Personal Shrinkage by Single Friend in my ears. And pretty gold. I'm not going to lie. It's definitely not just Lo-Fi.
When I first thought I saw that, I thought gold boombox. Where do I get one of those?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But that's the only reason I put this up. I saw the gold boombox and was like, that's the other.
No, it was just somebody's just sprayed one, and I felt really cheated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this, real? By definition, is really cheesy, right? The existence of this playlist.
The concept of a gold beat, yeah, maybe.
I mean,
what's the definition?
The golden era of hip hop.
Beats inspired by the golden era. Yeah, okay.
That's why it's got a boombox as well. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my English teacherness came back. I have to. Beats inspired by the golden era of hip hop, so not necessarily beats from the golden era of hip hop.
Yeah, inspired by. That's like the new one, the shrinkage thing.
Yeah, it's like it's like lo-fi adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how adjacent? I mean, just inspired by. I've been inspired by music I hate.
Well, yeah.
That's awful. I'm going to go and make some music instead.
Exactly.
Yeah, the inspired gives them leeway to put whatever they want on that playlist. They'll just be like, well, it has gold in the title.
Oh, make it work. Make it work on that front. But yeah, that's our gold. If you guys watching have anything that is gold, remotely gold, we continue on this quest.
Yeah, Eon Lake is on a quest to get everything in his studio gold.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm thinking gold keyboard racks.
Yeah, you got the two gold vinyl players, so you're good.
Yeah, with the diamond cartridges.
Yeah, there you go. You're set.
Anything but. We'd like to see. We want to see how obscure gold we can go. So yeah, let us know.
Pointless stupidity, inappropriate use of gold plating, particularly scores big with me. It's just ridiculous. Why would you do that?
You think there's a gold push?
I bet there is. I bet there's a gold push lying around somewhere. I'm gonna find it. We'll have to see.
Or like a gold Volca.
Yeah.
Well.
Goldka.
Goldka.
A Goldka. A
Goldka beats inspired by the golden era.
That would be amazing to see. But yeah, cool. All right, that's our goal and that's our news for this week. If you have any news or if there's anything you think that we should be discussing, you can drop us a line on Twitter, either at Audionautic or at Curtis or at Sunwarper or at Eon Lake _. There's an underscore after Eon Lake, isn't there? Or is that on Instagram?
I think you have an underscore, don't you, Curtis?
There's 2 before and 2 after.
Oh, it's 2 before and 2 after. Very good.
And don't you have an underscore on Insta, Curtis?
On Insta, I do. Yes, it's Curtis _. But on Twitter, I'm just Curtis. So
just Curtis.
Yeah, there used to be just Curtis on Instagram too, and then I got banned. So now it's Curtis with an underscore. I still don't know why that happened, but anyway.
That's a bummer. All those cool GoPro videos gone.
Oh, I mean, I still have. Maybe I should upload.
Well, that's actually something we'll be talking about in the marketing bit. So
okay, we'll
hold that thought.
Okay, well, first we'll get to the round robin because
Yeah.
it is on the start of the second hour, and Hydro Fighter has just turned up in the lobby, which is perfect timing for everything.
There we go. Look at that. This has just been an episode of synchronicity so far.
Oh, wonderful, isn't it? Absolutely wonderful. So let's let Hydro Fighter in, say hi, and get to the round robin, shall we? Perfect timing. Good morning, afternoon, evening. Hi, Hydro Fighter. How you doing,
I think
man?
it's afternoon for him.
Yeah, it would be. What, 1, 2, something like that?
Probably 2, right? It's 2, right, Steve? Oh, Steve, I think you're muted.
Oh. Just literally just talk.
Can you hear me
A
now?
bit louder.
Yeah, we got you.
Up.
Up, up, up,
No,
up,
keep
up.
it right there. That's good. Yeah, that should be good.
How you doing, man? You all right?
Phantom power. Need phantom power.
Always.
Yeah.
The phantom button.
Oh, man, that thing gave me issues a long time ago. Before I knew, I was like, why isn't this letting me sing? When I was like a kid just getting into it.
Oh, brings me back to the glory days when I was doing a lot of MIDI sync stuff, getting hardware to clock up with other hardware and making it all mix and match. I can remember working with buddies and where we spent a couple of hours troubleshooting things. I don't miss those days. Now it's just plug and play for the most part, right?
Or search Google if you have an issue.
Troubleshooting MIDI. Does it get any more soul destroying?
Well, and a lot of it was trying to, you have to go through the little screens that's on your hardware, right? To figure out where to find your sync stuff and who's the master and who's the slave, right?
And are you set to 3 or you passing the clock on? We're in a ring. Like,
I had that issue with the circuit because different things you plug in via MIDI use different channels of MIDI. So you have to. There's only 2 MIDI channels on the circuit, but you have to select like what MIDI number it's sending out. Oh, that was a nightmare.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because I had this thing where even though it was only sending 1 MIDI to the Erebus, it would send all of the drum channels MIDI programming into the Erebus too. And so you'd have this like melody playing, but then this cacophony of other notes that aren't in the key just like hopping in. I couldn't figure out for the life of me. Yeah, it was jazz. There we go.
Jazz, man. Yeah, there you go. Well, since I hung up my music producer boots and turned to DJing, I don't have to worry about any of that anymore.
Yeah, you just got to beat sync. That's all you got to worry about. Beat and key sync,
Just got to beat sync. Just got to beat sync. That's what it's about. I mean, you don't need to have talent or anything. It's all good. That's probably disingenuous to lots of great DJs out there.
That's debatable, but you're welcome to your opinion.
Exactly. No, it's good fun. It's good fun. But anyway, what have you been doing? What have you been doing this week, Hydrofighter?
I've been very productive musically this week. I won't go into too much details about it, but one thing I've been playing with are actually kind of the sync type of stuff. Because usually, like with delays or arpeggiators, I have them in Ableton sync to the beat, and not using the time. Going into the milliseconds or whatever. And I'm going the other way with things now because I want to control those things with the MIDI controller and see what kind of crazy stuff I can come up with. Because if you switch from like a quarter note beat to a half note beat, it's really drastic. It gets really mucky. But if you're changing within the milliseconds to mess with your delay times, it comes out kind of cool.
Okay, all right. Well, it'd be fun to see. That'd be fun to see.
Yeah, it's a long ways out from you guys hearing any of that stuff, but future project, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, that'll be interesting to see. I've been going back over your first Siblings EP this week, and it's just can never get over just how lovely those drums sound. So I'd be interested to see where you take things.
Yeah, and the other thing I've been working on this week is not making the drums so hot on the upcoming release, right? Yeah. So
my heart is crushed, man. That
it's like a whole new side to you, bro.
I don't know if I like this side of you.
I'm glad I waited because listening to a lot of Sunwarper songs lately, the Raven Musin release, it kind of puts things into balance a little bit more for me where the drums should probably sit instead of being super hot. So if you don't like it,
the stylistic choice, it's cool.
If you don't like it when I release it, just hit me up and I'll give you a customized. I'll get your customized mix with the drums super hot.
I'm with you for the journey.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, man. It's all preference.
I'll just take your final master and just put it through Sound Toys Effects Rack, and I'll just saturate the hell out of it.
Still using Valhalla, right?
We still have only said the brand, have not said the
Yeah,
plugin.
yeah,
so
yeah.
can't say
No
anything at that
drinks
point.
yet today.
No drinks yet today. Anyway, let's mosey on through to the idea of just the round robin, basically.
The idea of the round robin.
The idea of the round robin. Yeah. That age old thing. Singles versus albums. I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about that today. Where you guys come from. I feel like there's a lot going on. Recently, over the last week, 2 weeks, I've been listening to artists who are releasing singles first and foremost. I've been listening to a lot of hip hop, people are mainly releasing singles. At the same time, there are people in our community who are releasing albums, left, right, center, and up and down. And I wanted to see what you guys. I know we have all released albums, and we've all released EPs, and we've all released singles at certain points. I just wanted to see what makes you choose to release a single? What makes you choose to release an album? Why? What do you prefer listening to versus making? Is there anything that steers you in a certain productive way or anything like that? That's kind of what I wanted to bring to the table today. Who would like to start? Maybe Hydrophile?
You know how I'm going to think about this, because we just discussed it the other week about I don't know if it was release schedules when we were talking about that, but I've never released a single. There you go.
Oh,
Answer. Game, set, and match.
Wow.
So
I'm just gonna shut up now.
the only singles I've done are part of comp releases. So usually I save anything that I don't use for an album or EP as a single for any comp that might come up, and just use it kind of as a B-side and have it ready whenever I'm ready to go. So.
And is there a particular reason for that?
I think it's the idea of listening to albums, like what you said a couple weeks ago, where, I mean, I'm an album listener. I like writing albums. I like the flow of an album. I like the idea that you can balance maybe drum heavy songs with ambient songs all in the same type of release. I like the idea of a flow, and I think that's just kind of, growing up on Pink Floyd and Rush and whatever those prog rock bands were back in the day. I mean, they wrote albums. That's what it was. I love how they're composed from beginning to end. So, yeah, I like the albums. It doesn't mean I don't buy singles, because I have been buying singles, and particularly Sunwarper singles.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you.
I don't have any problems with it if I really like a song. And I mean, there's some pop songs that I will just buy one song off of a whole album, lots of times because I only like that one song, lots of times because I want to sample something from that song.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
And I don't
The
might
YouTube
not really like
copyright algorithms listening. Be careful.
Oh, you know what? You chop them up, you move them around, you pitch shift them, throw effects on them. Nobody can tell.
You'd be surprised.
I will.
I was hearing about splice things recently, like they're getting caught. Some people's things they get off splice, even if they change it and stuff, it's getting caught on the algorithm.
Wow.
I'm sure if you completely mangle it, like I know you do, Steve, it's
Yeah.
way less risky. But I was seeing interesting things like splice audio that's supposed to be royalty free and stuff is getting caught in these things. It's not Splice's fault. It's like uploaded, the songs being uploaded and stuff, or the loops being uploaded.
Whoops.
That's why so far I've only sampled myself,
Ah, really?
because I've not quite gotten crazy enough that I'm going to sue myself yet. But I mean, yeah,
Ah.
it could happen.
One more
usually-
piece of gear, you might go
Yeah.
that way.
I usually chop them up, so I mean nobody can tell if it's a kick unless it's
Yeah, that's
the kick from When the Levee Breaks, right? The Led Zeppelin, right?
Make the kick the snare and the snare the kick.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
nice.
so EPs, I like the idea of EPs. I like the short variations. I like there's something cool, short and sweet, where you can listen to something for 20 minutes and be done with it and move on your merry way.
Yeah.
With singles, like I said, I mean, I like to when I work, I like to listen to music constantly, and I don't like to listen to playlists. I like to listen to an album from beginning to end. So I find something that I've purchased and usually will just throw it on and have it in the background and don't necessarily focus on it in my work time. But lots of times when I'm just sitting listening to music, I like to listen to the whole album from beginning to end though too, and nitpick it and say, oh man, I love the transition from this song to that song.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so we got a full album listener, full album producer, I suppose, in that sense. Ian Lake, where do you sit with this?
Well, I think the article that you linked kind of hit it on the head, really, doesn't it? It depends what you're trying to do, really. You know, it all depends. I mean, I'm not big on doing singles myself, but not for any good reasons. There's more for the negative reasons, like I'm a bit lazy. I think
Figures.
I've got more fun out of releasing a single track as part of a compilation, and thank you, Hydra, for reminding me of that fact. I like them to go out like that. If they're going to go on their own, if you're going to release them on their own, push them off the ledge, see if they fly. I don't really like to do less than EPs, but I like the longer form. I like the ability to express different things. I like the I don't want to get pigeonholed for one certain thing. I don't think anyone's actually going to consider me long enough to do that, but that's like this irrational fear I have of like one thing and think that's all I do, that's me. So, and I think it's, a listening habit, like Hydrofighter, that I like to listen to things that tell a story, that flow from one thing to another, and just, get lost in that for a bit. There are times when a playlist does work for me, where I want to be, constantly bounced around from one thing to another. They tend to be at the more extreme ends of music, though. Something either really laid back, like Sunwarper's, relaxation and sleep mixes, or something very perky and upbeat that's, Friday night into Saturday morning sort of style.
Josh's DJ set.
Yeah, exactly.
Curtis's DJ set, sorry.
Yeah, where the roof is gone.
Yeah, the roof has been just demolished.
Raised. No roof.
Fell onto the decks, and he DJ'd on the roof.
Variety, when it's a statement, can really help the journey thing if it's curated by somebody with the skill of DJ Curtis. But yeah, I mean, it depends what you're trying to do. Personally, I like to release EPs and albums just because I prefer working on them that way. I like working in large bunches of songs. I like the way certain ones can feel like they belong together on a release. It's just the way my mind conceptualizes music in some way, I think. But obviously, as Sunwarper will tell you in just a minute, there are a million reasons to release singles, a million. And they're all good reasons, and he's right, and you should listen to him.
Well, don't speak for me. What if I'm about to say something completely opposite of that?
Well,
I had the greatest change of heart ever.
At least 2 albums underway in his back pocket as well. So.
No,
you're only listening to double albums now, Sunwarper?
Exact. No, it's got to be triple, or it's nothing.
Box set.
Yeah, box set or nothing, or we riot.
180 gram vinyl. I'm not going near it.
Before we move across to Sunwarper, just from Shady in the chat, full album from his side as well, which makes a lot of sense.
Not a surprise, but yeah.
Yeah, not a surprise, but yeah, makes it through. Holds him very close to his heart. Sunwarper, where are you sitting with this?
I like it all, man. I like it all. I like singles because they can capture a moment. You can just it can be completely different. As you know, I don't typically box myself into one genre, so sometimes I like to just kind of test out different sounds. I also like to promo an album by putting singles up and putting like songs that aren't going to make the cut of the album, but I want still to be part of the cohesion and represent a bit of the album, like a little off part of it. Yeah, I mean, I like EPs, 2 tracks. Like for that thing I'm composing for the webcomic, it's an 8-minute song, so I'm going to release that, but I'm also going to split it into 2 or 3 parts, so it'll be like 3 or 4 songs on the release, but really just like one song. One of the parts will be extended and all that. It really just depends what you're trying to do. If you're trying to like grow on Spotify, singles are a really good way to do that. But you can exhaust people that are fans that want to buy it or something like that. So you have to kind of walk that line. And albums are awesome because they represent a full thought of yours. Like you can capture multiple aspects of your music. It's long format. You can tell a story, a narrative, even if it's not like a conceptual album. So really, as Ian like said, it just depends what you're trying to do. I like singles because you can just like get a quick taste of something, you know, and just like, oh, here's this like ambient thing I'm working around, and if you like it, you can do more or something, you know.
Yeah, it works in a similar sense for me as well. Like I got a single coming out next week called Columbia, and that's it's an homage to the Columbia crash,
lords.
basically.
Oh,
Sorry,
my bad.
say again.
I said drug lords.
No, not quite. No, the crash back in 2003, I think it was. Don't quote me on that one. But yeah, and that uses voice recordings from Houston and from the crash itself. It's in 3/4. I was experimenting in 3/4, and I'm probably not going to do anything more on it because it captures it, as Sunwarper said, it captures it in space and time as it is. And again, through EP, I'm a big fan of EPs, mainly because I've got ADHD and I can't focus on much stuff for long enough than anything else. I always get distracted and do lots of things. For me, at least, EPs are a bit of a sweet spot. But then again, I am working on 2 albums at the moment.
I'm going to do the Eon Lake.
Raise
my
do
hand. I do
Eon
have
Lake.
one thing I want to I'm not making fun of you, Eon Lake. It's a really good idea. Because it's hard with the latency and things like that. There can be lag and we talk over. So it's a great idea. But I also, like Future Fade, the last album I did, I really liked the building an album like publicly, or, you know, I guess publicly is the way to say it. Like each single you release as part of one album that at the end becomes a full album. I really like that, and writing each song in that month. So it's something I probably want to explore again, and probably will in 2023, whatever next year is. I can't remember. I can't be bothered with years anymore. But I really like that idea, and that kind of combines both aspects of releasing singles, but also it's an album, and it becomes an album. And it was really cool for everyone that was listening along with it and like talking to me about it and stuff. We all kind of watched it grow together. It was just this really cool way of doing it. And in the comments, Shady says, I see your side too, Sunwarper. Yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong way in this. It's whatever you're comfortable with, and whatever works for you, and how you like to release music.
Yeah. It seems like the younger...
Sorry.
I was just going to say the younger generation seems to really hit off on the singles. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I think that's
frequent releases.
We're just getting old, Eon. I mean, that's what we're proving here.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
You're the wise sages.
Yeah.
The wizards.
We held off releasing an album, you know, because I wanted to make sure that at least a few people would listen to it first. I mean, you need some sort of following, really. Otherwise, you're something a bit arrogant about, you know, I've been making music for 5 minutes. Here's an album. Sit down and listen to it.
I mean,
if I'm any good or anything first. So that seems, you know, but after a while, I'm less concerned with whether or not people want to listen to an album. I'm more concerned with whether or not I want to make one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, not because I'm some arrogant twat, but because like its value is decided by someone else anyway, and that will happen. So, you know, you just got to do what you want to do in the way that you want to do it, and if people like it, they like it. That's great, you know. But they don't. You're still living your best life.
There you go.
You do you, bro. I love that. That's a great way to finish off the round robins exercise. Thank you for that little mantra. We should have that tattooed on our forehead. That'd be lovely.
It's another tattoo.
You go first.
Yeah, you take that one. That's all you, bro.
Like a very different podcast.
We make it work, gentlemen. I'll put it in reverse so that on the webcam it comes through. So yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. We'd like to know what you guys listening, watching back, either live or on repeat, how you do it. Would you prefer? Do you consume the same way that you make? Do you shoot for certain things? Tell us. We'd like to know, either in the chat or on Discord, or anywhere really. We'd like to know where you guys sit.
If you're a patron, you can talk about it in our Twitter chat.
Yeah, jump on for sure.
That'd be nice. Yeah, completely. Last bit for today. We are 20 minutes past the second hour, so Sunwarper, we're here for your marketing.
Yeah, so I
That's your
forget
week
what
one.
the first one was because I didn't put that, but we may want to hold off on that one until next week anyways because it's probably longer. So I talked about this briefly when Curtis alluded to it earlier about his old content that he still has but is no longer on Instagram. Yeah, I know you don't pay attention while we're talking on the show. Don't worry about it. One thing, everything these social media gurus and things talk about, always be put out content like constantly, but that can be very tiresome, and if it's not good quality, then that's not worth it either. So something that is useful and a way to mitigate that to a degree is going through older content, because you're always getting newer people tuning into your stuff, or if you're posting regularly, you're getting new followers and things like that. And just people who follow you because of the algorithms may have missed that old content. So you can always either reformat or just reuse that content. Like, let's say you have a, 16:9 video. You could make a 9:16 reel of it. Yeah, it might look a little wonky, but you'll see that all the time. And now you've got a reel that you can use. And the best thing to do is take content that has been, quote, successful before. So if you have something that got a lot of views or likes, try to use something like that. But it's just a nice way to not always have to be trying to create new things, and you can take breaks, and you can just like Eon, like you always talk about with music, embrace the old things. Like it doesn't always have to be about new stuff. And I think this is just another way of doing it in a different context with social media rather than with music proper.
So so assuming just if we upload a video, say last year, right, and then we upload it again, is there anything about algorithms noticing this?
I'm not sure about YouTube. Instagram doesn't really seem to mind, but to play it safe, like I said, you can change the format, or you could do something in addition to it, or like if it's a single video, make it a carousel with like a photo or something too, beforehand or after it or something. What were you saying, Eon Lake? Sorry.
Or highlights, edits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, chop up bits or something.
Whatever, that sort of format.
Yeah, I mean, just off the top of my head, like let's say, Curtis, we have those Audionautic interviews that we did. We could take bits of those and chop them up, reformat it, and those are reels or something we could post.
Yeah, so it's more based around subject and rather than person you're talking to. And
yeah, now that of course would involve more work than what I'm saying of just take the 16:9 and make it 9:16, but it's the same thing, and I think that quality transfer would do even better because you're making it look new as well, so people who have already seen it may also want to watch it again or something like that. But I think the biggest thing I want to convey is just like there's always new people to social media or to things, and so there's always a new audience or even people who follow you that missed what you posted. So don't be afraid to post things that you've already posted. I wouldn't post something from like 2 months ago, but a year ago or something, try it again, and especially if it was successful before, like did well, try it again.
We'd like to see where that happens, how that works. Maybe people can let us know. Sunwarper. I look forward to seeing something from your Celeste era.
Well, that's Glass Taurus.
Of course,
that's Glass Taurus right there. Glass Taurus was written and released in 2016, and then I completely restructured it. Realized that I completely cut all of the mids on the guitars. Like I opened the project file, and every guitar just had this giant EQ just. And I was like, that's not good. So,
that's pretty
I fixed that up.
That's where all the guitar is.
I know, but I think my 2016 brain was like, oh, I want it to sound like in the background and like forgotten, because I wanted it to be like the guitars have become part of the machine or whatever, So I just I'm
sure there's a reason for it.
I don't know the reason. I'm assuming that's the reason. I don't know.
I'd love to see an argument between 2016 Sunwarper and present-day Sunwarper.
I think they'd come to quite the argument.
What were you thinking? Don't you remember?
Yeah.
I mean, that works out nicely in that front. So that could work. Well, anyway, gentlemen, that brings us 25 minutes past the second hour, so I think we'll have to wrap that up there and then. Eon Lake, is there anything that you want to say before we go off air?
I'm still thinking about that last subject, really, and using old things in new ways. I've found that that's the way I'm writing my music a little bit more these days, is remixing a song I haven't actually written yet. Because I really don't remix.
Right?
I love
Okay.
Hydro Fighter's reaction. They're like, wait a second, you got to do that like meme math where all the math just comes at you.
I'm just,
You go like, what?
Remixing what doesn't exist yet. Oh, okay, great.
What?
I'm just creating stems to do a remix
Yeah.
with.
So hang on, this is you creating stems like independently of each other and then arranging them?
Sometimes they're created together. I just don't like how processed and formulaic everything sounds. So I want to like chop it up, mess around,
Yeah.
really heavily process it, and then build up some sort of remixy thing out of it and build mood that way and so on. I don't know. It's just something I've started doing more recently, especially generating sounds outside the studio. You've got to bring them in and sort of import them anyway. So it kind of lends itself to a bit more of a remix of a song that never had a first mix in the first place, sort of thing.
What I think you should do is do a double release. One version, the original version, and then the second one is the remix version.
Well, the only problem with that is I rarely do the original version.
Well, then just do a remix of the remix.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
remix
remix.
section. That'd be the way forward.
Remix section.
Call it parentheses.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Mixes of mixes of mixes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hydro Fighter, what about you? Anything on your mind?
No, man, I'm just deep in thought after that whole remix of something that's not created,
We're all gonna have
so-
to go splash some water on our face.
Yeah,
after
like,
that
yeah.
revelation.
That's gonna take me some time to soak in.
You'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Elon Lake is heads and shoulders above any of us when it comes to workflow and music. He's just up there as like the sage, and he's just like
The heat
you
and
will understand.
radiation from his modular has just warped his brain to a new realm
Probably
of
close to
existence.
Yeah.
He's not among us mere mortals anymore. He's somewhere else.
I do
Yeah,
wish
we-
I had
we-
some stems from old songs that I did like 10 years ago, but
Yeah. I know.
but
I
I
lost a
can't
lot of
make-
mine.
yeah,
Oh,
you
good.
upgrade your software and you can't pull up the plugins
That too.
anymore. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's always the way. It's always the way.
I'm sad
Um,
about that.
I mean,
See?
I
Tear.
feel that.
Tear.
Oh, I was thinking about the other day about how Sunwarper, he releases stems to his patrons,
That's
doesn't
true.
he?
Yeah.
So that's now a standard output of his workflow.
Select
which is probably
songs.
no
Let's
bad
put it that
thing.
way. Select songs.
Well, there's always going to be some stems, so you'll never be in that position where you don't have anything for a particular song.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you will, but
And you could
something.
re-release them in another couple of years to get some freshness out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if
do
you're
that.
curious to hear the difference between Glass Taurus, you can find the original on my other old name, Celeste, Selles. It's on Spotify, and it's also, there's a Bandcamp for it. It's also called Glass Taurus. So yeah, just
Okay,
if you
gotta
want
find those guitars.
if you want to A/B, I wish I might still have the original Logic file with those guitars. I'll take a picture if I do of just this. Like, I'll put it on the Patreon group. It's like it's from like 800 to 1600. There's just this giant cut in EQ. I was like, what was I doing? And then the kick drum was like beyond Hydro Fighter levels of loud in the mix. It was just like boom.
Don't overshadow me, man.
I beat you in my kick loudness back then, I guess.
Let's not start a loudness war with kick drums.
Oh God.
Oh, we should.
Yeah.
The second loudness war. It shall be fought with kicks and in the low end. That'd be amazing.
Just before we get off, I just want to add also that all of our Audionautic shows, both the live streams and our Binary Stars, which a new one is coming soon, are available here on YouTube, but they're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you'd like to help the channel, leave a like here or give a rating or review over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It helps a ton, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Hydro Fighter, Elon Lake, it's been wonderful to sit and chat with you, as it always is. Absolutely.
Thanks
And
for
to you
having me.
No. And then I don't know
Mum
what that
told me to
was.
say that.
Yeah, it's always, Mum's is always nice. And to you guys watching in the chat and repeat, thank you very much for tuning in this week. It's been amazing. It's always nice to see people in the chat enjoying and having fun and putting their input in.
Yeah, and Supermassive.
Oh!
I felt like we needed that there, you know, just it felt like the show missed something.
Yep.
It felt like the
We're
show
doing-
was missing, so yeah. Anyways,
On that marvelous note,
Yeah, we'll be back next week, 11 a.m. Pacific, and we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.
Take it easy. Thank you very much.